AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AfterBuzz TV's Californication After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Californication After Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Biggest for doing. We're here doing Californication, episode 10. We're nearing the finale. That's very sad, but also joyous. Tonight's episode, Blind Faith. What?
Nothing.
I am Phil
So
Svitek,
excited.
joined alongside with a full panel. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Next to me is Roxy Striar.
Hello.
And of course, across from me, the bald Stephen Lemieux.
Hello, how's it going, guys? Yeah.
There you go. And of course, Krisily Kennedy. How are you?
Hello.
All right. What a very good episode. Very specific episode. You know, not a lot happened, but I thought it was beautiful. But let's start with this. Let's start with Becca. That's where we opened up. What are your thoughts on Becca going
Abroad.
Just what she needs. I absolutely support it, and I'm glad we come to the conclusion that
And why does she need it?
Because she's got to get the hell out of there. I mean, I don't think abroad necessarily has to mean Europe, but it needs to be out of her home.
I think it's stupid. I think she needs to get out of there and travel, but I think like the whole essence of her trip is kind of really like, because she wants to be a writer and everything, but just like Hank says, it's like the writers don't become writers by traveling and looking up other places other writers have been. They go traveling and have life experiences and things like that. Just going traveling for the sake of going to where other writers have been is kind of like, really? Like, I don't know.
Krisily?
I think it's great. I think that she is just trying to live her life outside of her family, which is what she's always done. And I think this is something that's going to kind of get her out of her comfort zone.
Okay. Here's what I disagree with. I don't think you need to go abroad. I think going abroad is just running away from your problems, which is the thing that Hank's always done. You know, he's never ran away, but he's always run away from his problems.
Or is it running towards a solution?
Yeah, I don't agree that it's always running away from your problems, but knowing that maybe you need something else or you need to find who you are without your family as support, it can be really a growing experience as opposed to running away from something.
No, of course.
Amen.
I just don't think her reason behind it, or as what she says her reason behind it, is sound, but I think she needs to get the hell out of LA. I mean, just, of course. Everyone who's from other places, like you gotta leave the comfort of your parents taking care of you all the time eventually. But how old is Becca now? She's only like 16, 17.
No.
No, she's in
graduated high school.
yeah.
Yeah,
She's college age.
I think she's 20.
She's 20 now?
Yeah. 19.
She might even be
20.
legally drinking
20?
age. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's older.
Oh, wow.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you know, to your point, like the fact that her parents can't be taking care of her, she's taken care of her parents in the past 6 seasons.
Right, and
The reason why she wants to get the hell out.
Exactly. I don't want her to have that burden anymore. I think
Right.
she needs to do her. And even if that was back in New York or if it was in Ohio, I don't care. Wherever she feels the need to go, I think that's where she should be. And I think inspiration is where you're looking for it, kind of, you know? Like if she thinks she's going to find inspiration, then just by going to where she thinks she's going to find it, she's going to feel inspired. Even if you think it's for a BS reason.
Well, yeah, but what she's like, even asking about the trip, like she maybe have been taking care of her parents for the past 6 seasons, but she still is asking their approval, and she's also still doing things to gauge reactions from them. I mean, she's still doing attention-seeking things to a point. I think she needs to get her independence by getting the hell out of there, getting somewhere where she can become herself and make decisions not based on what she thinks Hank's going to think of her and what she thinks Karen's going to think of her. Just like, because that's been her whole life so far. When they're ignoring her, they're paying too much attention to her. She just needs to be completely on her own to discover who the hell she actually is.
Well, I think she's more asking for their financial approval. But I do get what you're saying.
That's a good point, Roxy.
And I think it's just the conversation like, hey, mom and dad, this is what I'm doing next. I don't think if they actually told her not to go that she would not go. I think she would still go. And I don't think that she has lived her life looking for their approval necessarily or like trying to get things from them. I think that she's now trying to, like this season, we've really seen her want to do it on her own. And writing, I don't think necessarily is looking just for her dad to say it's okay. I think that's just something that she thinks she's passionate about right now.
Let's start with Karen. Why do you think she thinks it's okay off the bat?
Getting out of LA. I think Karen thinks LA is poison. That's why she's left so many times. That's why she still wants to leave, I'm sure.
But Hank would say, go to New York. You know, Hank will be the first one to admit LA sucks.
Yeah, he said it tonight. I think that Karen would kind of go with anything that Becca wants. I mean, Becca has been a pretty good kid. She hasn't caused too many problems. She hasn't done anything too outlandish. She's been a good kid. And I think that Karen's just trying to be supportive of her and try to do it right by her as a mom.
Yeah, Karen's method of parenting throughout the years seems to be say yes unless you have a really good freaking reason to say no. So just following that, I think she doesn't hear abroad and thinks sex, drugs, I don't know. She hears abroad and thinks experience, something my daughter wants. She just says, so she's down.
Is Hank's reason, and I'll explain my thoughts on this, but Hank's saying no, do you think it's because he's seeing what Faith is, and you know she's traveled and things like that, and he doesn't want that for her, and being a groupie?
Hank didn't know that first, though. We only find out about. We don't find out.
Yeah, but no, not that part.
Not
just
that
the part of her. I mean, all we know of Faith up to this point in this conversation is that she sleeps with roadies.
Okay.
That's what she does.
And
You know
she's
what I mean?
traveled.
Right.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I think that in Hank's mind, it's his little girl still. He doesn't feel comfortable with her going abroad. He likes to be able to keep an eye on her. She, especially with her recent activities, she's kind of been loose cannon. So, and Hank's style of parenthood is say no until you think of a really good reason to say yes.
Plus, Hank is with the woman who was taken in Taken. I mean, going abroad doesn't have...
Just a very valid point.
Totally just watched that today. But I think Hank says no for completely selfish reasons. I think it's all about Hank.
Okay.
Well, he does want her to go back to school again, too. I still think he's not really with her being a writer. Because
he sees what the lifestyle is firsthand, and it's a bear.
Yeah, well,
For him,
I mean, she showed him his book, or her book, sorry, and he didn't like it, and he told her, okay, put it away, start a new one. I mean, she hasn't really come back with like, hey, I'm writing something new, I'm doing this new. She's like, I'm going to go on the trip to learn how to write. She's not like, he says about it, he's like, come up with something, have some good success so you know you kind of want to be a writer, so you know this is what you want to do and you can do it, and then go on the trip. Because then the trip will actually help you because you'll have your writing kind of down to what you want it to be. Then you'll know how to write about the trip in a way that's going to track well with anyone who reads it. Right now, she just kind of was like, oh, writing a book didn't work. I'm going to go on a trip. Maybe that'll make me a better writer.
Here's what I like about Hank is that he's self-aware enough, and I think he's consciously kind of thinking it, but I don't know to what level. But he is, again, at the end of the day, he's a very smart man, and his point about, you got to sit your ass down in a chair and just write. And procrastination of any sort, right, traveling or anything else, is a form of procrastination as a writer. The only thing that's going to make you a good writer is sit down and write.
I don't completely agree with that. I think that in order to be a writer, be an actress, be an artist of any sort, you need to have experienced life. If you don't have certain experiences, there's nothing to talk about, to emote, to write.
But then
I definitely don't think Becca's doing this to procrastinate. I think she's doing this because, and you're saying things you love about Hank. What I love about Becca is that she didn't hear the criticism and was like, you know what? I'm a crappy writer and I'm just going to throw that dream away and pick up a new dream. She really wants to make this work, and she honestly believes that traveling is something that is the next stepping stone to helping her make this work. Whether we agree with that decision or not, I mean, that's debatable, but if that's what she believes in her heart of hearts, I don't think she's trying to procrastinate. I think she's trying to become better and do better.
But to argue that point, like even with acting, you're not going to have barely any training in acting and decide that going on a 6-month trip is going to make you a better actor.
Oh, some people do.
I mean, they do, but
They're amazing actors, I'm sure.
Yeah, some people do.
but I mean, like, yeah, if you go a 6-month trip to LA and start learning acting, but if you have the grounding, she doesn't have the grounding, is what I'm saying. It's like an actor who wants to go on a 6-month trip to explore the levels of their emotions, to explore how they can be perceived and perceive themselves as an actor. If they don't have the foundation first and they don't actually know how to do it well already, it's just gonna delay it. It's not going to better them at all because they won't even know how to use it.
I think the trip is so much less about her actually writing than it is about her just finding herself without her family. I think that she went to her parents with that because, one, she knew her mom would be supportive and talk her dad into it, because if she was just like, I'm going to go on a trip for a couple months and just figure my life out, they wouldn't be as supportive. But because she's giving them this excuse, I think it's just her way of getting outside that comfort zone, of knowing that if she stays in LA and this is the path that she continues to take, her father's going to be on her like a hawk and going to try to talk her out of it, and her mom, it's going to cause tension. So I think it's 100% just about her just learning who she is.
Well, to piggyback off of that, it, like what you're saying, but in different words, until you're okay as a person, you can't really be okay with what you're doing. So she needs to be herself and feel comfortable with herself before she feels confident in what she is and her abilities as an artist, a writer, etc.
So how about this? We'll talk about why Hank kind of, I want to kind of go on the journey with Faith, and then we'll kind of round it off, because obviously we end the episode there with him allowing her to go.
Let's do it.
But, as we kind of dissect this journey, if you will, let us know your guys' thoughts on iTunes. I made a comment earlier on a different show as a joke, but Roxy being out of college...
So you have to do it to her again.
Yes, I do. Because you know what? So I feel like this show's about writing, so it's a little more appropriate. Roxy, she just finished college, and we all know people out of college. Yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
They stop kind of reading after college, and so the only way
Roxy ain't so smart.
You college girls think you're so intelligent.
the only way Roxy's reading anything is if they're comments on iTunes.
It's true.
So you better write a lot.
It's true.
It's true. You know me.
Let's help keep Roxy literate.
The point of that is, no matter what, if you agree with us, disagree with us, we love to hear it, whether it's on YouTube, especially on iTunes. Give us that 5-star rating or whatever you think we deserve, and talk to us so that we can talk about what you guys are thinking out there when we are in here.
That's right. All right, so Faith. Let's talk about Faith, because
Have a little faith.
Here's what I liked about tonight's episode. I really like, and I think Krisily, you made this point. I want to hear more from you. The fact that we really center around Faith and got to know her, and rarely do we kind of go to that depth to understand a character. I mean, Hank obviously, but not necessarily the other ones. We kind of just get to observe their life and make that observation. But in tonight's episode, we went and found Faith.
We sure did. We sure. It's so funny. As I've seen the progression of Faith and Hank throughout the season, I kept saying, oh my God, Faith's Karen when she was younger. She's supportive. She's the muse. She's this, she's that. And then tonight, when we got the backstory and the history and the family, I was like, oh my God, she's Hank. Like, she's not Karen at all. She's a female version of Hank.
Can you put your finger on exactly why you think that?
Well, it came to me at the point, and I know that we're going to dissect all the conversations and things that happened, but during one of the conversations between Hank and Faith's father, he says, you should be really proud of her because she's a really good kid. And while, yes, she has a great heart, if any of us saw a girl like that or a guy like that in real life, we would look at them and be like, oh my God, she's a floozy.
Yeah.
But because Hank does and lives the exact same way she does, he thinks that she's a great person. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Hank movie. I don't want to see him grow up. I want Moody to stay exactly the way he is because the show would be so boring if it wasn't. But at the end of the day, that's how he lives his life as well.
But Hank does have that rock in Karen, and it doesn't seem that Faith does, and don't you think that's a huge difference?
I think that's just because she's young and hasn't found that rock yet. I think because the progression of him and her is the same. Although Faith seems to use people a little bit more.
Could that rock,
Hank does.
in fact, be Hank?
She's trying to make it, I think.
I don't know.
You look like you had enough.
I had something and I lost it.
All right.
I mean, what? What do you want me to say? Like nothing?
Here's where I'll you know,
You need to read the iTunes comments. Pick up a book.
pick up an iTunes account and read some comments.
I don't even know where I was going with that.
I don't either.
No, but okay, so we're talking about, you think that, I still think that they're very similar in terms of what Faith and Karen represent in Hank's life, although Karen is more stable and, as I'm saying, more rock-like, and Faith is more what we would describe in society as a floozy. But like you're saying, maybe she just hasn't found that rock yet. Maybe, in fact, that's not what the direction she's going in. Maybe she just hasn't developed into the mature Karen yet.
Here's my perspective. I think with Karen, right, you develop certain relationships with people. With Karen, he can be childlike, right? Whereas with Faith, the fact that he said you should go home, you know, that alone shows he's on a higher level than her, and he's suggesting things, you know, that are good for her that she might not otherwise consider. And that's what Karen does for Hank, and so the dichotomy is different in that relationship. He's being like almost like a father figure to her while he's
with
the benefits.
Out with her. It's really awkward. Like, it's becoming an awkward relationship for me now.
It's funny because he ends up through Faith's father giving him advice, or giving advice about the daughter. It's advice really about Becca, but through Hank talking, it's giving advice about Faith. That kind of just like that cross mesh there.
But
does that make any sense?
But as you see the relationship between the mother, who's obviously beyond a devout Christian, like she takes that to a whole nother level, and the dad, who's really pretty even-keeled and kind of normal, like from the conversations
except he's an alcoholic
and watches a lot of porn, but
what man doesn't?
But
softcore.
But also in the it shows that in the situation that both of them have, Faith and the father, it's the only way they knew what to do. Like, they didn't have that thing in their head that said, okay, this may not be the right choice, but it's the choices that they made because of what they were given, because the household was so strict, because everything was about God, everything was about, you know what I mean? Like, this religious aspect was taken to such a different level than it is in most places.
Yeah, I mean, in life, sometimes you do what you can, period. So yeah. I absolutely get what you're saying. Can I ask a question about the mother to you guys?
Sure.
What's going on with her? Is she sick? Is that why? I mean, because Faith asks her, she says, is something wrong with Dad? And the mom's like, no, other than the fact that he's alcoholic. She's like, is something going on with you? And she clearly says, oh, what a beautiful necklace, and doesn't answer the question. So we're assuming she's sick?
I'm assuming we'll find out in the finale. I think we're going to, I mean, I'll save that for predictions, I guess. Or I can just say it now because it's relevant. I think in the finale we'll find out what's going on with her mother, and I think Hank's going to have to make a choice whether to go after Faith or go after Karen in some situation that her mother's sickness has to do with driving them apart.
Interesting.
The conversation in the liquor store between the girl that Faith went to high school with and Faith was just like, I felt so bad for her at that moment, because up until that point, she's been this strong person. Like the movie Almost Famous. She was that free bird. She didn't care. She knew what she was.
She was Penny Lane.
She was totally Penny Lane. And she was doing all these things and completely confident in herself. And then all of a sudden, you saw that expression change. Like, you saw it in her eyes when that girl, I mean, she called her a slut 18 different ways. And constantly, and when she said, you know, she was the bookworm, she was the quiet girl, and then all of a sudden she was sleeping with everyone. And it just, you actually saw her hurt at that moment.
That scene, I just can't. Like, that is why the show is so incredible. Mm-hmm. Things like that actually happen.
Yeah.
Have you ever bumped it, like, you literally hide in the aisles of the store because you see somebody and you're like, if I run into that person, I'm going to have the worst conversation. It's going to ruin my day. Like, things like that happen, and some people are just so freaking oblivious. And then the fact that the husband and sleeping with him and that he was just so nasty. Gross. And it was, I mean, like...
It's more
to the show, because that was amazing.
It's more of a small town attitude too. It's like they can say whatever they want about her, but her life is actually pretty good comparative to what other people could have been if they went off on a tour bus and became a groupie or whatever. I mean, she's literally like a top tier groupie. Like, she's with millionaires. She's like house sitting for millionaires and stuff. I mean, there's a top tier to groupies. But like, I mean,
she's a moocher.
Yeah.
She's a professional moocher. That's what she is.
She's a higher grade. She's a muse. Right? Then there's moochers, then there's...
But I don't know about you guys. But had you ever stopped and asked yourself, how does this girl make money? Because before this night's episode, I hadn't thought, like, where does she live? How does she survive?
Well, because we don't think that when we watch shows
exactly.
like this.
And now when it comes up tonight, I'm like,
I think, how do they stay in such good shape? I'm like, when do they go to the gym if they're all just partying all the time? That's what I think.
Because they do drugs all day and sleep. That's all they do. So, of course, they're thin. Like, she doesn't have to work. She doesn't have to do anything. All she does is do drugs and have sex with people for housing, for food. Like,
although I do
that's
hear
her
that
life.
cum is very caloric.
Well, to
Just saying.
finish my point and to go off
So
that.
she swallows. Thank you.
Wow.
I mean,
My wisdom in there.
there are tons of people who are in LA and don't even have to try. They get offered these things. I know people who have millionaires come up to them like, come stay at my house for weeks and weeks and weeks. Like, beautiful women can, I mean.
Right, for sex, you can get whatever you want in this town.
But she doesn't even have
I
sex with
can't.
that many people.
Why am I not getting these offers?
Anyway.
Who doesn't have sex with that many people?
Faith, she's selective. I mean,
with
she did
who?
before, but she's selective. She won't have sex with Atticus. She was having sex with a guitar player for a long period of time.
Because she's a tease. She knows how to use her body to get what she wants.
Exactly.
But
What can Atticus give her?
she's
Nothing.
nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
So
There you
she's
go.
not sleeping with him.
No.
Okay.
But she'll sleep with Hank. She'll sleep with. I mean, she has her share of getting around. Even the tour manager has talked about how many people she slept with. So
But-
she definitely sleeps around.
Back to what I was saying about the small town attitude. Like, I think we've all had it. Like, everyone who's like packed up and moved somewhere on like the spur, like people who pack up, move to LA to be the actor or whatever, people kind of look down on it. And even if you in your life or career are further ahead of them where they are, they're still, when you see them, they're still in the mindset that
Absolutely.
they're still in the mindset that they're ahead of you because they stayed where they were and they did the normal route. They did the college route. They're married. Like this woman, she has the 3 kids. She's like, she's nobody because I did the real thing. I stayed. I have a family. What's she got? She's got nothing. They still come from a higher than thou stance, even though you're the one who took the gamble with life and actually, no matter what you do, they'll still think they're higher than you.
I actually saw that conversation as the complete opposite. And as the girl that was pregnant with the husband was looking at Faith and saying, oh my God, you did it. You got out of here. You did all these things. And the reason why she was being so disrespectful and shooting her down was because she was a little envious.
Oh, well, they are. Of course they're envious, but that's why they do it.
I think a lot of general statements are being thrown out there right now, and I think that it can go both ways, but it's the important thing is it's not a comparison, It's not I did it should never be I did the better thing, so I went off to become, I moved, I picked up, I took the risk, and I became the actor, groupie, whatever that she's doing.
Here's why I disagree that is a comparison because, you guys have interesting points. It becomes a full comparison of, whose life is better in the dinner scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To when eventually it gets to talking about filthy cocks. That was
Can we have one dinner without penises, Phil?
filthy.
Can't we just talk about the weather?
fucking weather? No.
Phil.
See? Guess what? I can use it because I use it sparingly and I use it at the right moments to illustrate a point.
You soiled it.
Congratulations.
Soiled it, this shit.
All right. This conversation, I mean, the way it went, I thought it was an amazing tit for tat from the mother and the daughter. And Hank, I loved his reactions of trying to stay out of this, and the father trying to appease this whole situation.
Yeah.
This is literally a conversation, or not really the same conversation, but the whole attitude of the mother towards whatever. It's like the exact same atmosphere as when me and my brothers are with my grandparents, because they're so old-minded and like they look down on tattoos as if we're gonna go to hell.
But is it old-minded to not want your daughter to be having sex with a bunch of rock stars?
Right. I agree.
See, the thing is, we love Faith, so we're like, yeah, what's wrong with her mom? What is she thinking? But when you actually step back, like, would I be so happy as a parent? Probably not.
Doesn't matter if you're happy or not, but it's messed up. Like, it's your kid. She's gonna be she's gonna spout so much religion, then she's gonna like.
Well, that's why she is upset, is because of the fact that yes, it is her daughter, and this is
Right.
she doesn't approve of this for her daughter.
I may not agree with the whole you should have been a nun, you should live your life this way. I may not agree with that, but I agree with the mother in the same sense that she should probably try to come home more often, and her mom shouldn't call her a slut, which she kind of is, but her mom shouldn't say it that way.
Could I borrow a Mad Men quote?
Sure, I don't watch it, so.
It's all right. It's all right. So in Mad Men, a mother says to the daughter the same thing. You don't come home enough, right?
Yeah.
Yes. The Mad Men theme song. And Peggy says, Mom, I'm home right now.
Yeah.
Negates any.
The problem is you can't pick on. When do you pick on somebody if they're never home for not being home? The only time you can pick on them is the one time they're home, which is when they're doing what you want them to be doing.
And everything's gonna come up. That's
Right.
why the conversation happens every time she comes home, because she doesn't come home so often. So every time she comes home, she hears it. But at the same token, hopefully, eventually.
But it's cyclical. I mean, you know, the reason why she doesn't come home is because of that fact. I mean, and you know,
Then
what's nice
maybe
is
she should stop opening her legs for men on tours, and then she won't be called nasty names.
Hallelujah.
I mean, I love Faith. Don't get me
praise
wrong.
the Lord, Krisily.
Her character's amazing, and I love watching her character. But at the same token, like, you can't get mad at somebody for calling you something that you kind of are.
Well, I don't know, actually. Like, I don't particularly have a problem with the way that Faith lives her life as not her mother. You know, I think some people, like, what she's doing in her eyes is important work, and if it's fulfilling, no, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds ridiculous, but if she feels fulfilled, like, if she feels like she's doing something good with her life, then let her live that life.
But she
Here's
doesn't.
Here's the thing. Well, what do you mean she doesn't?
She doesn't.
That's why I ifed it.
That's why that's what the whole episode showed me, was that she doesn't. She's not super happy with her life, because if she was, then she wouldn't still be looking for that bigger thing in her life. She wouldn't be looking for. She's not happy.
So what is she looking for?
I don't think she knows, and I think that's why she's doing what she's doing, because she's trying to find herself, apparently, through riding other people.
I mean, you know, ultimately, it's a choice, and I think, you know, you make a good point, Krisily. But I think ultimately, in terms of the mother doesn't necessarily have to know whether she's happy or not. She just has to know that she made a choice, and it's not the choice that the mother wants. But it's a choice.
But she's not. Faith is not happy with herself. I mean, you can see it every time she talks.
I agree.
I think her insecurities just are huge, and that's what we see. That's where the sex comes in. That's where the wearing barely any clothes comes in. I think that's where all of that comes in, is her insecurities.
So the more of a facade of being in control she puts on, the less she actually is.
Yes.
Let's talk about her subconscious of the dream with Atticus.
So awkward.
You know, what does that reveal to us? Ultimately?
She thinks Atticus is Jesus.
I hope not.
Was so weird.
Does that mean, like, what if Atticus is Jesus? What does that mean about Jesus? Jesus is on drugs. Jesus is out of his mind. Like,
A hot mess.
I didn't know what to make of this, and sometimes Californication will throw in something here that I think that I will chalk up to more than it actually is. Like, I think I'm putting too much thought into it. I think it is what it was. I think it was a dream. I think we all have weird sex dreams sometimes about weird things. It just happens. Do I think that she really wants Atticus? No. Do I think she thinks Atticus is Jesus? No. I think she had a weird sex dream.
It was a rationalization, or it was a visual rationalization of how she rationalizes, using that word way too much, like her relationship with God. Because she's like, her mother's throwing it at her so much. I mean, look at her. She's dressed in a slutty schoolgirl uniform, basically, and she's breaking down, because you understand that she's kind of like coming to the end of her rope with this lifestyle. She's like, kind of like what you said, she's slightly depressed, she's insecure, and she finally gets to that point where she is like praying again, like, I need to pray, what am I supposed to do? And then it comes to her visualization of God that she uses to deal with her life, in that God always loves you no matter what you are. So it's like a battle between her life as God would really see it, or how she visualizes God would see it, because God loves everybody. And she rationalizes herself going on these things because God will always love you.
I think it was an interesting kind of mirror that her mom really wants her to put God and Jesus on this pedestal in her life. And the only thing that she ever puts on a pedestal in her life are these rock stars. So I thought it was kind of like a weird mirror of
That's an
they want her
interesting.
to, her mom wants her to be this way. Like, she's going to do the right thing. I said I was going to get a pack of cigarettes and I never came back. And I'm sorry that I've lived my life this way. And it's supposed to be this God, this Jesus that her family has been digging into her, and now it's the rock star because that's what she's gone to instead of her faith.
Did you write this episode?
No.
No, both those are very valid points.
I mean, here's the thing. I think, as a child, she submitted herself to being this good girl, right? Bookworm. But she was, as you well, also a nun and a bookworm, right? But as you brought up, I don't think she was happy with that. And she's certainly not happy with this. And so, you know what? As we're talking about this, I think for me, she's got to find a balance, and whatever that balance may be. Will she ultimately find it? I don't know.
She's got to find her rock.
Yeah, I agree. She said it. She's looking for something bigger. She's looking for that thing, and she hasn't found it yet. So she's just kind of making her way through, and she's using what she knows she has to be able to get through. And unfortunately, a lot of girls do. It's their looks and their bodies. And
so to bring it back to Becca, I think for me, Hank ultimately decides that Becca's got to go on this journey because seeing this, the parents were not supportive and they were split on the issue, right? The father wanted one thing, the mother the other. And so, you know what? Had they just at least been supportive of her, maybe she would have found her answer.
Well, the quote
quicker.
that Faith's dad said is, people do strange things when they're judged all of the time instead of just being loved.
Yep.
And that's that. Like, exactly what Hank needed to hear, and completely justifies his decision to let Becca go. She just needs to be loved instead of needing to be judged all the time.
right. Because he talked about before he said that it was such a strict household, and that she had so many things to live up to that she had to feel like she was in a cage. And so I think it's exactly that. Like, Hank finally realized that, one, him and Karen have to be together on this, and two, he wants to shelter Becca so much, and now he sees this girl Faith, who, of course he sleeps with and has fun with, but he doesn't want his daughter to turn into that. So he's not going to shelter Becca the way that he has, hopefully.
Yeah, it was so beautifully and perfectly worded, and that, like, I think it said everything about the episode.
Yeah.
Steven, any thoughts on why, Hank? Or any additions?
I mean, I'm seeing silent here, Phil, because like they're saying everything that I was gonna say.
Well,
so
you know what, Steven? I don't want just because you don't have hair doesn't mean you don't have a voice, and I want to make sure you got in there.
Steven, do you have anything to say?
Martin's laughing in the booth.
Martin thought that was
I have
great.
some radio silence for you.
All right. Well,
Can I just say that whoever does the music for Californication is brilliant
It's
every
so
episode.
good.
Like, every episode a song comes on and I'm like, oh my God, this is so perfect for this
Man,
moment.
I gotta
So
get
good.
out of this town. Yeah, it's so good.
So good.
Although I was thinking that you two still haven't found what I'm looking for was gonna play.
Yeah.
And where was that?
Yeah.
Because tonight was the night.
Was Nothing Else Matters this episode or
No,
last?
last
That was last episode. Okay.
all right. Well, speaking of that, nothing else matters but our predictions.
Reach
Right
out
on
and
point,
touch
Martin.
Faith.
Now, your AfterBuzz TV
Predictions.
All right. Next episode is gonna be cray cray. That's street lingo for crazy.
I saw
Martin laughed on that one.
I saw the previews and I saw that bitch is back.
Yeah,
or-
and she's tasing
Oh my
Marcy
God.
And Runkle.
and Runkle.
We said Fatal Attraction. She was going to get boil bunnies and get weird, and she clearly is taking it a step too far.
I mean, I would assume that Stu still has his cock ring.
Got Cage.
Cock cage, yes.
It's a cage.
Get it right.
Cage, not a ring.
A ring, it just seems more
Cock
pleasant to
ring
me,
would
so
be-
Freudian slip.
Yeah, that would be fine. The cage.
There's ring fights and there's cage fights. I don't know. I'm stopping.
Anyway, we also find out that Atticus quits.
Here's
That
the-
wont last long.
Yeah,
though.
but I mean, he's so childlike. It's like,
Yeah.
I quit.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to play again. Like, I mean, come on.
Well, here's the thing. I think what's going to be fun is I know for a fact we're gonna go back to rehab, and you guys will have fun, a lot
Oh my
of fun
God,
with that.
it's so funny. I loved that that whole conversation at the dinner table about where they met. It was kind of like a church. They met over the Old Testament because they smoked weed and the page. Like
and
that
they
conversation
inhaled
was
the Bible.
Like that conversation, that back and forth was kind of brilliant.
They talk a lot
Such great
about
writers.
God.
Is that a prediction?
What?
No.
Wait, what was the prediction?
No,
I was
we're just in predictions right now, and you were making a
I
comment on
know.
that.
I could because you brought it up, and I couldn't let it go. I loved that part. My prediction is that it is going to come to a choice between Karen and Faith at the end, and of course, it's going to be Karen.
And we see Becca kind of leaving, so we're gonna get that good news.
Yeah, they're definitely setting it up so Becca can go abroad over the summer so that she never has to take a vacation from the show. But I don't actually know, because is he going to go with Karen? Do we know if Faith is on next season at all? Have we heard anything about that? Because like you're saying, if her mom is sick and whatnot, I don't know.
That's
And
assuming the mom is sick. I don't know. I think
don't know that she is either.
You're putting a lot of stock into that.
I am
If you are and you're right,
We're not.
I will
This is
bow
actually.
down.
I'm not saying she's sick, but I think something's up.
Yeah, we don't have to assume she's sick to decide to make a prediction about there being a choice between Karen and Faith.
that I don't. I mean,
Okay.
that was in the.
I think there will be a choice between Karen and Faith, and I think Hank will probably choose Faith, and Faith will not be there.
Really?
That's
Faith
true.
is gone.
No, I mean I don't.
What happens when Faith goes?
I mean I think she'll move on as someone else's muse, as she always does.
I don't know. She's like head over heels right now, I think.
Yeah, this is more than just I'm using you.
I mean, here's the thing, right? So we're gonna end on the rock opera. This is the culmination of the season. Atticus and him have been building this, and so ultimately, I don't know what that is, but ultimately, whatever happens will be reflected in that rock opera. And what that is, I don't know.
Fair enough.
So we have silence.
Yeah, that's about the cue for.
All right.
there
Well,
we go.
speaking of that, so thank you guys for listening. That's as far as we got this week. Let us know how far you got. I'm sure you guys got farther than us. But go to iTunes, rate and comment, and also feel free to tweet it at us. Roxy, what is your Twitter?
At Roxy Striar.
Look at that, nice and simple. Krisily, it's even simpler than that.
At Krisily.
Look at that.
I'm gonna go complicated. You can find me at Stephen Lemieux, or you can go to facebook.com/SR Lemieux photo and check out my photography there, and maybe book me if you're in LA.
All right, and of course, find us here at AfterBuzz TV. That's all your social media net sites: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Thanks
and whatever
to
may.
Akamai Technologies.
Yes.
Bing is for doing.
And Dozer does it. If you don't know
Dozer does
Dozer,
it.
check out Krisely's stuff. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week, and we will have a special guest, so tune in for that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be Patrick Fischler.
Oh, cool.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later, motherfucker!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.